Atomic Habits by James Clear is undoubtedly the best book out there that can bring meaningful change in your life. I had the opportunity to read it a couple of days ago and I haven't stopped thinking about it ever since. If you're one of those people who have trouble sticking to their New Year's resolutions, then this is the book you should definitely read. The book acts as a definite guide to letting go of bad habits and adopting good ones. The author James Clear has had his fair share of struggle. He got hit by a loose baseball back in high school and suffered severe injuries, making the end of his baseball career. Instead of giving up and abandoning the sport, James chose to make small changes in his life during the college years that helped him earn his spot on the American team. The book summarizes the philosophies that helped him get his life back on track. This video will list the top 8 lessons you can take away after reading Atomic Habits. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Number 1. Be patient with yourself. First up, the book teaches us patience. Almost everyone wants fast results. If you sign up for the gym, chances are you would expect some changes by the first week. However, James wants us to understand that this approach is entirely wrong. Such a thought process prioritizes instant payoff without much regard for long-term results. In reality, we can only reap the benefits of our habits in the future. To further clear up the point, James uses the example of compound interest in banks. He says that you usually start with a small amount, making little difference to your bank account. However, as time passes, the interest multiplies and you will see a significant increase in your savings. One that you would not have been able to get if you abandon your account, disheartened because of the initial small amount of interest. Likewise, when we adopt a good habit like going for 30 minutes of a walk every day, we will likely see the effects of such a choice in a year compared to a week. Quoting James Clear himself, "Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations." Number 2. Forget about goals. Now, this statement sounds pretty absurd, right? Shouldn't the author want his readers to remember his goals all the time? It's a good way of staying motivated. Weirdly, James doesn't ask that of his readers. Typically, self-help authors and motivational speakers instruct their audience to jot down their goals on a post-it. They ask them to break it down into smaller, smarter goals that are much more achievable. However, James says that this method is counterintuitive to developing good habits. He explains that pursuing goals for extended periods can be exhausting. Chances that you will lose your motivation down the road are very high. Moreover, a lot of goals remain unfulfilled, which can affect your ability to move forward. So it is better to shift your attention away from goals and focus on systems of improvement. By doing so, you lay little importance on the income of your goals and focus more on polishing your skills. James takes this idea from the Japanese business concept, Kaizen, which translates to never-ending gradual improvement. So in the end, it does not matter whether you win your competition or not, but whether you have put in consistent effort to better yourself. Number 3. Focus on what defines you. In this part, James addresses a burning question. Why do people fail to stick to their New Year's resolutions? He does so by explaining the process of change. According to him, there are 3 layers of change: outcome, process, identity. Outcomes address what we want to accomplish, while process answers how we intend to achieve that particular result. On the other hand, identity answers a more profound question: who do we want to become? According to James, most people fail to stick to their resolutions because they only address the first 2 layers. They can decide what habit they want to change and how they want to change it. However, they fail to incorporate that change with their identity, quoting them directly. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. In his book, James writes about how the only people who have been successful in their weight loss journey made changes in their identity. They joined local communities that centered around vegan or keto diets. He wants to do them the same. He wants us to ask ourselves what type of a person we want to become and then act accordingly. After all, our every action acts as a vote to what sort of a person we want to become. Number 4. Learn the habit loop. According to James, the best way to successfully incorporate good habits in our lives is to understand how habits work. In his book, James explains that habits follow a 4-step loop: cue, craving, response, reward. We follow these steps subconsciously every day without much effort. For example, you wake up and pick up your phone and check any messages from your friends. If there are any, you reply to them. Waking up is a cue for you to check your phone. A need to connect with your friends is a craving. Replies are your response, and your reward is a social connection. Once you understand the complete loop, you can move on to solidifying your habits by addressing each step of the cycle. Number 5, trigger your habits with cues. In this section, James explains how focusing on cues can make it easier for us to adopt habits. Cues act as triggering for habit loops. Anything can act as a trigger: an environment, person, or object. James suggests 3 steps for taking charge of our habits through cues. His first advice is to make a scoreboard. According to him, you should make a list of every habit you want to adopt or let go of, and then mention its trigger next to it. This step is essential because it makes you aware of your practices, and once you are aware, you can change them. When you have the information about cues, you move on to the next step, that is, reconstructing your environment. In this part, you are supposed to arrange your surroundings so they facilitate you. Let's say you want to read more, then you should place a book on your bedside. Or if you're going to cut down on your phone usage, then you should put your phone far away. Moving on to the third and last step, James suggests that you can write down implementations like, "I will do stretch when I reach home." There is scientific evidence of this being an effective technique. Number 6, rewire your brain. A craving is an expectation that doing a specific task will bring us good feelings. How can you use this for yourself? Well, James suggests that you give yourself an incentive for demanding tasks. He calls it temptation building. Over time, your brain will associate the challenging job with a good feeling, and you will find it easier to do it. You can also try to surround yourself with people who have the same habits you want to adopt. Doing so will prove to be a positive influence on your mind and make your journey much more manageable. James also suggests that it's better to list down the cons of bad habits. Making a list will always remind you of the consequences and hopefully stop you from making the wrong choices. Number 7, create hurdles for bad habits. Next up, we're going to discuss a response. A response is an action we perform, whether good or bad. In this section, James teaches us how to take control of our responses. The way to do that is to make good habits easier to perform while creating hurdles for bad habits. The hardest parts of starting any habit is finding motivation for it. James solves this issue by simply asking us to set similar goals for ourselves. You are much more likely to read 10 pages than 100 pages in a day, since reading 10 pages seems less daunting and will be easier to get done. He also suggests the 2-minute rule for this purpose. The 2-minute rule states, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. James further adds that you should prioritize quantity over quality. An hour spent working is still going to contribute to your journey of improvement, so stick to working, whether it be for a short duration. The other side of the picture involves making it harder for yourself to perform bad habits. For example, if you plan to quit smoking, then throwing away your cigarettes is a good start. Or if you're trying to eat healthily, then get rid of all the snacks in the house. After all, the chances that you will make a trip to the supermarket to grab a packet of chips are pretty low. 8. Reward yourself for good habits. Setting up an important reward system is an essential aspect of establishing good habits. One way to do that is to give yourself incentives for completing tasks, as we mentioned before. You can also set up a punishment system if you stray from your goals, like donating money to charity. Losing money can be a great motivator. According to studies, people try their best to lose the least amount of money possible. James further suggests that you can include friends in your accountability system. The knowledge that someone's monitoring will push you to be on your best behavior. The last piece of advice James hands out to his readers is to visualize their progress. The best way you do that is to use a calendar. Once you have fulfilled your tasks for the day, you can mark a big X on the respective date on the calendar. According to James, one of the most satisfying feelings is the feeling of making progress. And that satisfaction will motivate you to move forward. And that's all we have for you folks. If you take your time understanding and implementing the lessons we explained in this video, you will see your life turn around. Your future self will be grateful for you making wise decisions. What habits do you plan to adopt after reading this book? Are you making a list? If yes, then do let me know in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to share it with your friends to spread the knowledge. I'll see you next time. Till then, bye.